Okay, today we're trying to do um, a database, a normal API, a normal REST API using .NetCore, which is cross-platform. And in the backend, I will not use a database. Usually, for any small project that I use only file systems. So I will not use a database. But easily, if you use JSON files for a smaller project, for your personal project, it's not for, yeah, even for real world you can do it, but if you need any sort of guarantee, it's like tricky, but it's you have to use it. Okay, and when you feel there is a real need, usually I use it in all my prototype. I really don't like to use databases because the databases is not backable. It's usually make the project more depend on other things other than the main project itself and the file system which run on it. So basically what I will be doing is I will do a REST API which will be doing the three methods. One of them is the get one, okay, and we have the post, and we have the put, and we have the delete. Okay, the get have two ones, one with the get plus the ID, and the other one is only get. So the get one will get me all of my objects. Here we'll do, in this example, we'll be doing a task example, which basically a note taken app. So it has a note field plus other fields like the ID and the modification day and creation day. Here it will get you only one object, and on the post we'll do it like for the create, put for the update, and delete for delete. So for this first, I usually do two things. The first one is I use something called manager, which is a class I can reuse. This one I can reuse for my API and my front end, my normal MVC app. Okay, so in any way, if I use it by the API or the MVC app for using that, I will use the same manager for that one. But in this case, we'll expose it through an API. We'll expose it through an API. If you go to the code, you will have that manager. So in the manager, usually we will have a variable static. I'll make it a static one, which means I don't want to create every time on a new one. We use the same manager. On that one, it will has a root, or basically a relative to my project root. There should be a folder called task manager and task. So the first one will give me all the files. I'm using async here, so basically it's the same thing, but it's more efficient on the web server or in the server or in the thread. So the first step, I will be creating the folder. I will be creating the folder path. So I use path.combine, which will give me an pass the content root here, because ASP.NET, it depends on where did you start the project from, which means is if I started from the C, it will give you the content root as a C. If I started from D or from A, it's not where is the executable, where is the DLL is, or where is the executable, where is the file or the program running is. It's where did you start it from the command line interface. So the path, where did you start the program from, it will be the content root here. So just take that on consideration. This one is passed from the controller, and it will get from using dependency injection from from ASP.NET. After that, I will be creating the folder. After creating the folder, I will get the information of the diars. Before the task all, maybe we'll do the create one. Yeah, the create. On the create, the same things. We'll be getting the folder. After getting the folder, we'll create the folder. Always we create it. So the create one, it only is not efficient, but if I try to do any sort of check-in, if I done it before, or do I have to keep some sort of state. I don't think it's important at this point of the project. Don't try to do everything in the first stage, but keep it in mind. So create the project directly. Here we'll create the directly if it does not exist. So it will not give any errors in the next. So when we use to write a file to that directory should be existed, because this one expect the directory to be there. So after we create the directory, we will get the date. For now, I will create new object called task. We'll see the object. So the basic object will have something called good or the ID, which is created like a unique ID. We have the note. We have the date at created at and modified ID. Basically, the user only will enter this, and all of these are auto-generated. So if we go to the create again, we use the GUID here, GUID to string. It will give me the GUID or a unique ID, and I will get the note. I will create and give the create and modified date in the same one, because we are creating the object the first time. And I will use the GUID plus the .json to create a file path. From that, I will create serialization. I will serialize the object to that file. It will give me a string representation of the object, and I will write the object to the file path again in this step. Then I will return the object that I modified here. Okay. The next thing is getting the object. So basically here we opened this method before. We created I did create the folder, because each one of these methods, I don't know which one the user will call first, which basically there is no initialization, because there is no initialization for the app. There is no initialization or task to initialize. I don't want to be dependent on anything. I usually create the folder. So even if I use that, I put it here, because all of first line of each method for creating the directory should be in initialization code, a separate method. But I put it here. I usually like simple things. Don't try to make it complex. Try to finish it. After that, if you have time, refactor it. So I will put the directory. I will get all the directory info. I put the folder there. I put directory info. And this directory, as we save the files, we save the first one, the second one, third one, fourth one. I will give a small note also here. You see, it's unique. The GUID is unique, but sometimes 1 in a million you will get a duplicated ID. So if you want to check here, you can use, instead of write, you can do a create file. You can do a create file or create file. The create file will only create if the file already exists. On the creation of the file, it will throw an exception, and you can check that exception, but it's too much complex. So there is a chance of duplication or overwrite or missing information on this one if you only depend on the GUID. Second thing we will be doing is after we save the file, or after we do all the tasks of the file, after we save the files, we can just browse the directory and get all the files using the directory information class. After that, for each one we create a list. Now for each file of the files, we read the file, we deserialize it to an object, and we'll put it in the list, and we'll return the list again. Also, if we'll do the same thing for getting one file, but on that one you have to pass the GUID or the ID of the file that you need. I'll try to read the file, put the GUID there, and I will try to read it. It's not safe to do that, because it's not safe, because there should be like someone can send a malicious overload here, some kind of you have to check if there is no bath playing on that one. So basically you have to do something like GUID dot replace or remove, replace. You have to replace any backslash forward slash. Oh, so you replace it like that one. and you replace also the double dots. No, just yeah, the only yeah, I think the forward and backslash. There's other thing, but there is a security risk on that one. Usually don't use a string quit because it's bad. It's bad. It's bad. You can use a string one, but I would use a GUID one, no problem. I will check if there is a file. I will try to replace the GUID here with some, if there is a backslash or front slash or something like that. It should be gone. So you have to search for the dangerous character, so no one will try to inject something here or other things. So if someone try to inject something, they can, because you are passing a string. So that's why I prefer the ID, which is a number, and from the number no one can pass, I think, additional information. From that one, I'll just leave that one. So there is a second security risk here. Well, the one is the inconsistent data, because you are using only depending on the GUID. The second one is you are getting a string from the user, and on the string you are using it to get the files, to get the directly to get the files. So instead, so it's better if you get the files and compare it to the GUID, but it will not be efficient. So, or you store the GUID somewhere and you verify that is a valid GUID. So I'm not verifying that is a good GUID. I'm just verifying if the file exists, and there is a security risk in this place. But no problem. We just will get the file path, and from that we return a string. From that I will read all the files, and if it's okay, I will return it. If something happened, I will just return null. And for update async, I will try first to get the object, so it's a valid one, so it will not create one new one on the creation of it. But the problem is that I have to check here, yeah, if I will do if object equal null, return the method will return false. Okay, so again we have two risks now for the duplication of the file, and the second one is for the creation. After that I will get the folder, I will get the date, I will get the notes, everything, and I will just, so I'm getting it. I'm here explicitly not writing the method or the model from the user. No, I'm just handpicking the data that I want. I assign it to my retrieved object, and save that object again to rewrite the file or override the file again, the same way we are creating, but we are recreating. We change the modified at date on this place. Actually you can here, so I'm using that one, but you can use the file modification date here. Yeah, you can use the file modification. So if anything happened to the file or on the modification date of the file, because there is no one monitoring the file folder, so don't try to mess with the folder directly. Try to leave it like this, and or just from the program, or edit it from the program. Don't try to edit using the file system, because the folder will miss all the basically I'll try to create a database, what I'm doing. Okay, so from there you get the JSON and write the file. From delete one, same thing. You check the file. If the file exists, return. If the file does not exist, just return true. Usually here I will just return true. Okay, and I will check it. So basically here we are just reading and returning true. So on the API, in the API side, if we're using the REST API, we'll try to check the folder on it, or to check if the file exists or not first, before we try to do the next step. But this more than enough. So basically this the task manager. Okay, so we have the class, we have the get all, we have the get, we have get all, we have get, and we have update, we have delete, we have create, and we have all the main methods that we need to use in our REST API. Okay, now we'll go to the controller. So we'll create here the app we create in okay, Inside it, the first thing, usually by default, if I use it or not, I'll just get this, get something called the host environment. From that I will get the web root and the content root. From that I will do, yeah, the content root, yeah, the content, not the web root, not the web root, the content root. Okay, so usually I store the file on the content root because the web root is exposed to the file system, or it exposes to the direct file access. I don't want the file to access the raw files, so I'll just put it in the content root. From there I will do three methods also. Basically the first thing, we are exposing the main thing here. We are not this, yeah, we are getting it from the controller base, and we are using an API controller attribute and a router. So basically you have to call where is the host of this app slash API slash the controller name to get to this methods. From there we are in the REST API, we're using the verbs. We're using the HTTPS, or the HTTP verbs, which we'll be using here is get, we'll be using post, put, and delete. From there we are getting all the tasks. Second one, we are getting one task only, so there should be a different route to that one, to that method. So that is by introducing the HTTP get, and we say we need the ID here. Okay, and introducing the get up there, and after it we have the put and delete. We have the post, sorry, and delete. And the post one will just do it the same thing. So basically we are taking the object, and from that we are using the manager, and we creating it, and you have to return create add action, and we put the ID of the object and the object. After that we have the put task. After that we have the delete task of them. So on the put task, we have first to check the GUID of the ID, if to check if the ID there and the ID in the sended object is not the same. If not, we'll just return a bad request. I don't see that is okay. From that is updated, and we have to check if the file updated or not. But if it's, we return no content on the ID one on the task. There's, if you open, let me check if we have the article there somewhere. Yeah. Okay, so the next one, also if I show you the web, yeah, so this is the link. I will put it in the video description. If you go there, you will find like describe step by step how do you do it, how do you do the same steps from creation of the project. From here they are using database, so basically I will just add from, I use from the add controller, get the task, routing value, test the method that we have, you can test it, and using post, it has all the details of how to do it step by step. If you need more information, you can refer to this article. We'll just put the URL again in a fast way, so maybe you can capture it again. Yeah, so this is the method that you need to go, or this is the link you need to go to. If you Google just I think if you Google ASP.NET API on Google, you will get the file. So if you just Google, if you just Google it like this, you will get the file of the API, and everything will be okay.